Oh, he loves the fire, and what a goal! Oh, I say. A quick look up, a right foot shot, and that is arrowed underneath the crossbar. That's a stupendous goal. He's not shy of shooting from long range, and you can see why. That is sensational. 15 minutes gone, a phenomenal goal. Brilliant goal! What an equaliser! Good shot, it's in!
My name is Matt Squire and I'm an avid Football Manager player. Football Manager is by far my favourite video game and a game I spend a lot of time on. I'm completely engrossed in the community and the sport as a whole, and Football Manager for me has been a major part of my life. To its fan base, Football Manager is more than just a game. This statement, however, comes with many benefits and drawbacks in itself. For some, they see the more than just a game element as a unique way of feeling engrossed in the game. However, to some fans, it may draw them over the edge to the point where they are addicted and obsessed with the game. For me, I'm an 18-year-old studying my second year of A-levels, and I want to find out in this documentary whether the balance of work and life playing Football Manager is easily attainable, or whether I am prone to slipping and getting addicted to Football Manager. I decided to interview 3 people of 3 different ages to find out whether Football Manager affected them positively or negatively, to impact my decision whether to continue in playing Football Manager. Football management games have a long history. Football management games can be traced back all the way to the early days of Subbuteo.
Play the world's greatest sport with Subbuteo.
Subbuteo was created in 1946 and gave people the chance to control their own football game and play God in the world of football. Championship Manager was then released in 1992 for the PC. Championship Manager 93 added a real-life player database and many other features. This grew Championship Manager and built a large following amongst hardened football fans all over the UK. Championship Manager then merged into Football Manager as the early noughties came along. Football Manager 2005 was the first Football Manager game, and since then many iterations have grown a large and addicted fan base which still stands today. Obviously there is a conflict to it, and it can't all have positives for everyone, and a lot of people get a negative experience out of playing, and this is where my documentary comes into focus, on whether the effects of the game are too negative overwhelmingly. Obviously addiction to anything can be dangerous and difficult, and especially that comes into play with a video game, as you can spend endless hours on it, and as we've seen with Football Manager, you can take it anywhere and play it anywhere, so it becomes a very compulsive thing. You're doing it all the time, you're doing it everywhere, and that's a really bad thing for the game to be characterized as. I'm looking at the common player. Is the common player an addict, or is the common player actually enjoying the game and balancing their time and their life with the game itself? To find out whether they could balance the game with their lives, I asked 3 different people who've had 3 different experiences of Football Manager. I was looking to find out whether the positives outweighed the drawbacks of playing Football Manager, and if I should cut back on my playing time to find a better work-life balance, or whether what I'm doing right now is acceptable. The first person I interviewed was Brandon Shears, a 19-year-old college student. The second person I interviewed was Chris Rogers, a 34-year-old business studies teacher. The third person I interviewed was Michael, a 20-year-old ex-university student who dropped out due in part to playing Football Manager. First, I wanted to find out what their first experience of Football Manager was that got them hooked to the game, and how long they've been playing Football Manager for.
I've been playing it for around 8 years now. Started off just kind of a casual thing, and as I got more into my later teens, it became more and more serious. And then around my GCSE times, I was playing it quite heavily. I say I was quite addicted to the game. Around 4 to 6 hours a day, I would go on to now. But through my A-levels, I kind of stopped playing it as much, focus more on my work, and now I kind of balance that between my time playing Football Manager and studying for my A-levels. So I only play it for around about an hour a day, tops.
My first Football Manager game was, I think, Championship Manager back in the day. An actual time span, I think probably a good 15 years. I could certainly remember being at university and having Football Manager sort of days almost where we weren't in lectures. You just sit and play and play and play. So yeah, a good 15 years, I would imagine.
About 10 years now. I started in 2008.
What were the positive experiences, if any, that you gained from Football Manager?
I think people have this perception with video games and like Football Manager that's very kind of antisocial. But from my experience, I made a lot of friends because of playing Football Manager. You know, finding out we have a common interest like that, and then go around each other's houses and all playing the same game. So I know it's just negative perception about it, but really, I think there's a lot of positives. And then from the game itself, there's a lot of a lot of management and organisation skills, which it kind of sounds stupid, but it does apply to real life terms as well.
Patience certainly is one thing that I've learned from Football Manager. If things aren't going very well for you, not to quit. So you could argue maybe resilience as well on that front. And yeah, it just gets you thinking outside the box, be a bit creative in terms of the way you do things, try and come up with different ways and methods to obviously win a game. So I think there's lots of benefits to be gained from it, if I'm honest.
I gained a lot from Football Manager. I learned a lot of time management skills from planning everything, but a lot of management skills as well from running it all. And all in all, I feel like communication and everything just improved as a whole.
After finding out that there seemed to be mutually agreed upon benefits from Football Manager, I decided next to ask whether they had any negative effects on their lives or their social lives.
I guess looking back at it now, I would say definitely so. Yeah, even though, like I said, I made a lot of friends because of it, it was still a very unsocial game. Like, I would spend the majority of my time just in my room by myself on the game, with no real contact from the outside world, from my family. When I would see my family, it would just be going down for tea, and I would just be straight back up. It was always constantly thinking about when can I play the game again and the ins and outs of the game. So
do you think the portability of the game affects your social
Oh
life?
yeah, it's one thing like having it on a console where it's stationary, it's in your room, but once you go out, you can't. You're out. You can't play it. But if you have it, like I said, when I have it on my PSP or now on my laptop, I used to take it around with me whenever I go. So even when I'm at my place of work, I would take it with me, and when I have my times off, instead of interacting with my other co-workers, I would just go on the game, because it's all I think about.
Probably my wife would have a go at me in the fact that I would probably spend too much time on it and not actually listen to what she's saying. At university, you could argue with social issues, but I lived in a house where everyone was playing it, so it used to be a topic of conversation in terms of when we were in the house. Sometimes people would go into each other's rooms, if they had a laptop, and they would play in the same room just so you could chat about it. So I wouldn't necessarily say it actually caused issues, but probably if I was still doing it at this point, then it probably would do, yes.
In the grand scheme of things, I don't think it had that much of an impact, but at GCSE and A-level time in my life, I got the grades I needed to scrape through to uni, but if I'd been putting more time into it than playing Football Manager, I probably could have got better grades and been more focused on what I wanted to do with my life.
And at university level, what happened then?
And at university level, I ended up dropping out because I was missing all my lectures, I wasn't doing the work, I wasn't handing anything in on time or at all, and there wasn't any point in me spending the money going there anymore.
After hearing both the positives and negatives of playing Football Manager and of addiction to Football Manager, I decided to ask whether these benefits outweigh the drawbacks and whether Football Manager was worth playing.
I would say, I would say so. It's very easy to say, if I didn't play Football Manager, I could get so much more work done, I could be doing so much better things that are kind of more productive. But at the time and currently, it's what I enjoy. I'm enjoying it. I've made so many friends because of it, and I've so many great experiences through my time with the game. It's just it would be a shame just to smother it all in all these negative connotations with it. So I say overall, yes, it's a positive thing.
I know from experience of obviously being at university when you only planned on playing it for a morning and that turns into all day. So I would imagine the consequences of that could be quite drastic. I think you have to have an air of discipline about yourself to say, right, I'm going to stop after this point or after this game. Because if you don't, then I think, as I said previously, time can very quickly get away from you. And especially, it always seems to be, I'll just play one more game, I'll just play one more game, or I'll just finish the season. And you almost get into a vicious cycle of doing that. So, yeah, you could argue that there are pitfalls to it, but personally I would argue that the benefits do outweigh the drawbacks of playing on it, simply as the thinking side of things, getting you to think outside the box, creativity and such. So it outweighs the drawbacks, definitely.
After hearing this consensus that the benefits outweigh the drawbacks, I've came to the conclusion that Football Manager can be a very positive influence on someone's life as long as they remain balanced with the game and life. Balance is the key when playing a game like Football Manager, as from what I've found out, it is a very addictive game, and therefore having a nice balance allows you to play the game and enjoy the positive experiences that come from it, and also manage to avoid many of the negative experiences that come from getting addicted to the game. After speaking with the 3 people I interviewed and searching through many forums online, one thing always remains true. The view from the fans is that Football Manager is always more than just a game.